Right now, you probably know what loneliness feels like. That hollow ache when you're surrounded by people but still feel completely alone. That strange feeling when your phone is full of contacts, your social media is full of activity, yet something inside you still feels disconnected. But here's what's fascinating. Some people seem almost immune to loneliness. They can spend long stretches of time alone and feel perfectly content, not depressed, not withdrawn, not secretly suffering, just at peace. Meanwhile, others can live busy social lives and still feel isolated. So what's happening inside the brain? The answer reveals something surprising about human connection and about yourself. Your brain contains an entire network of regions constantly monitoring your social world, even when you're not consciously thinking about it. Neuroscientists call part of this network the default mode network. It's active when you're daydreaming, remembering the past, imagining the future, or thinking about what other people might be thinking. In many ways, it's your brain's social radar. Even when you're sitting alone in silence, part of your mind is still asking, where do I fit? Who cares about me? Like, am I connected? Am I safe? For most people, this system never fully switches off, and that's where loneliness begins. When researchers examined brain activity in people who frequently experience loneliness, they found something intriguing. The regions involved in social thinking often showed stronger connectivity. In simple terms, lonely brains tend to spend more time thinking about social relationships, replaying conversations, imagining rejection, analyzing interactions, wondering what others think. The result is often a kind of internal echo chamber. The brain becomes hyper-focused on social connection while simultaneously feeling disconnected from it. Ironically, loneliness can make people think about relationships more, not less. But researchers have also discovered something else. People who report lower levels of loneliness often process social experiences differently. When shown positive social images, lonely individuals tend to show reduced activity in reward-related brain regions compared to people who feel socially fulfilled. This suggests that loneliness isn't simply about being alone. It's about how the brain interprets social experiences. And that's a critical distinction. Because loneliness isn't the same thing as isolation. You can be physically alone without feeling lonely, and you can be surrounded by people while feeling completely disconnected, which means the feeling isn't coming from the outside world alone. It's being constructed inside the brain. Now, here's what I want to know. When you think about your own brain constantly monitoring your social world, does that feel comforting or exhausting? Comment your answer below. Because understanding this hidden system may completely change how you think about loneliness. To understand why loneliness exists at all, we have to go back thousands of generations. For your ancestors, isolation wasn't just uncomfortable. It was dangerous. Humans evolved in small tribes where survival depended on cooperation. Food was shared, protection was shared, knowledge was shared. Being excluded from the group wasn't just emotionally painful, it could be fatal. So evolution created a warning system. Loneliness. Just as hunger motivates you to find food and pain motivates you to avoid injury, loneliness motivates you to reconnect with other people. It's not a flaw. It's a survival mechanism, one of the oldest your species possesses. When your brain senses disconnection, it activates a signal designed to push you back toward the group. The same basic system that helped your ancestors survive still exists inside you today. The problem is that the world changed much faster than your brain did. Your nervous system evolved for tribes of 50 to 150 people. Today, you're exposed to thousands. You can receive messages from people across the world, scroll through endless social feeds, see hundreds of faces every day, yet still feel disconnected because your brain isn't measuring the number of people around you. It's measuring something much more important: meaningful connection. And this is where the story becomes surprising. The people who rarely experience loneliness aren't necessarily the people with the most friends. They're not always the most outgoing. They're not always surrounded by people. In many cases, they simply relate to solitude differently. Research suggests that loneliness is influenced less by the number of social connections you have and more by the gap between the connection you want and the connection you feel. That's why one person can spend an entire weekend alone and feel peaceful, while another can spend that same weekend surrounded by family, coworkers, messages, and notifications, and still feel profoundly isolated. The difference isn't always social quantity, it's social interpretation. And that changes everything, because it means loneliness isn't proof that you're broken. It isn't proof that nobody cares about you. And it isn't proof that you're failing at life. It's a signal, a message from an ancient system designed to keep humans connected when survival depended on belonging. The problem is that your brain still runs software designed for a world that no longer exists. 10,000 years ago, isolation could mean death. Today, a missed text message can trigger the exact same alarm system. Your nervous system often can't tell the difference. That's why loneliness can feel so powerful. Not because you're weak, but because you're experiencing one of the oldest survival signals in human history. And understanding that signal changes your relationship with it. Instead of asking, "Why do I feel lonely?" you can begin asking, "What is this feeling trying to tell me? Do I need deeper relationships? More meaningful conversations? More time with people who truly understand me? Or am I interpreting temporary solitude as something dangerous? Because the people who rarely feel lonely may not have escaped the need for connection. They may have simply learned something the rest of us often forget. Being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. One is a circumstance, the other is an interpretation. And the difference between those two things can completely transform how you experience your life. If this changed how you think about loneliness, subscribe to Call Me Different. Because some of the most powerful forces shaping your life aren't happening in the world around you. They're happening inside your brain. And once you understand the hidden systems operating beneath your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, you stop feeling controlled by them. You start understanding them. And in the next video, we'll explore another invisible process happening inside your mind. Why you can perfectly remember a childhood song, but completely forget what happened yesterday. The answer reveals something surprising about memory, identity, and who you really are.